Dallas Cowboys fans, this is what you've been looking for. A show discussing the team you love without all the fluff and BS. Host Greg Rector, along with Cowboys writers and content creators from across the country, break it down. This isn't the same old, same old. This is the blue and silver breakdown. How about them Cowboys?
Hey everybody, this is Greg Cowboys on TeamMBSmedia.com's YouTube channel and available on good old X as well. Like the introduction says, I'm not going to deal with BS. I'm not going to discuss Jerry and Steven's contract dispute with Micah. That's just utter nonsense. I'm going to talk about the players who are on the field and the coaching staff. That's what I'm going to deal with. Today they practiced against the Los Angeles Rams. I did not get to see the Mozzie Smith injury. He left with a lower leg injury because, of course, everybody focuses in on offense. So I got to see the Rams defense play the Cowboys offense. It was an interesting practice. There's many things that need to be worked out. Coach Schottenheimer just said there he's going to be watching the game film because there's lots of things that need to be worked out. I'm not one of these people who is going to boost up Jaden Blue as this running back one all of a sudden. I'm sorry, but he's not going to be running back one come week one of the NFL season. I just don't see that. I think he's going to be a fine complimentary back. He's going to be a good pass catcher out of the backfield for Dak Prescott, but he's not a running back one. That's the bottom line of that. There is no doubt in my mind that Joe Milton has definitely learned in his time in Dallas. He threw up a beautiful 75-yard bomb to Jalen Tolbert. He gets it. I think he's going to learn to understand how to read defenses better. And again, that's typical of most young quarterbacks in the NFL. You have to learn how to read those defenses, get the ball out of your hand as quickly as possible, and all those good sort of things. So Milton is certainly looking that way. Will Grier was not supposed to be playing very much today, but Milton hit his thumb on a helmet, so he was taken off, and Will Grier got out there as well. Will Grier just understands the system. He just gets it. So, the Cowboys are fine at the quarterback position as long as Mr. Prescott stays healthy. Again, I did not get to see what happened to Mozzie. I really do not understand why you go and draft a player, have him lose weight, have him gain weight, have him lose more weight this year. I don't understand this. He's supposed to be a run-stopping defensive tackle. What are you trying to do here, guys? I really don't get this. It boggles my mind. The up and down with the weight that they're doing with Mozzie. Again, we'll find out what has happened to his leg. Not that I was ever a big Mozzie Smith fan because he played at that school up north, and of course you guys all know that that's the Wolverines. And again, that past coaching staff who had so much influence on Will McClay's scouts as to the players that they were taking, it just, to me, that never works. You let your scouts pick the players. You let your scouts do it like they did this year. That's their jobs. Your job is to coach anybody that you're given to coach. Yes, you could have your a preference of a player and all that jazz, and that's what the scouts will go out and find you. That's what their job is. So Will McClay, he gets full marks for this particular draft as far as I'm concerned. So let's also discuss the Tyler Guyton injury and the other injuries that are out there. Of course, Guyton whenever the big time sports media gets on a story and they say, well, it's this, I don't buy into that. If you want the story of the Dallas Cowboys and a player situation, John Machota, Mike Fisher, Jane Slater, those are the people I pay attention to because they're there. Rappaport and all these other guys are not there, or Schefter and all these other guys. They're not there. They have no idea what goes on in Frisco because they're all in other places. So I don't pay attention to anything that the big sports media have to say. And of course, that was referring to his supposed ACL injury. That was the immediate take and all this other fun sort of stuff. Again, I pay attention to those reporters who are there on the scene. And that's what every team, that's who you should rely on. If it's Cleveland, it's Mary Kay Cabot, those people like that who are right there on the field, who understand what's going on with their teams much better than the big boys do at ESPN and even the NFL Network, unless, of course, it's Jane Slater, who is in Dallas, for the most part. So, again, pay attention to where you're getting your news from, folks. Just to me, I just completely ignore the word of Schefter and Rappaport and all these other guys. I just ignore it. Go to Mike Fish, go to John Machota, go to Jane Slater. Those are the people that you want to find out the information from, and they'll be accurate. Bottom line, they will be accurate. So yesterday I sent out a little tweet as well regarding my feelings so far in the camp. The Cowboys in their training camp thus far, the people who have stuck out as far as I'm concerned here, even with his injury today, Mozzie Smith is still a non-factor as far as I'm concerned. George Pickens has been great. Turpin and Mingo have both played excellently. Joe Milton has learned quickly. And Damone Clark, a guy who everybody was saying was going to be on the outs, well, he's played really good at linebacker as well. Could he be used in a trade? We don't know. We'll have to see what happens there. And again, Saturday night, we'll play these Los Angeles Rams again in the first preseason game. I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I believe that the old two-a-days were a whole lot better than this system is now. I really do. It's just the number of injuries that we're seeing and the types of injuries we're seeing, the hamstring injuries and all this other jazz. You didn't see this years ago. You just didn't see all these guys walking wounded like this because they were out in the field twice a day, pounding each other. And yes, I believe the offensive line needs more time in pads than the NFL allows. I can't stomach the fact that you don't have your offensive and defensive linemen not in pads. Oh, it drives me off the deep end. Yeah, I could understand the corners, the safeties, the wide receivers, but your tight end, your offensive line, your front seven, they need to be in pads. That's just the way I feel. So the injuries that we've had so far here, yeah, they've been extensive. But again, when you look at the guys who have been out there on a daily basis, Kyer Elam has played great. Oh, he was supposed to be a bust. Well, no, if you actually listen to what the Buffalo Bills said, they changed the scheme on him after he was picked, and he just didn't fit their new scheme. Hello? Well, he's now in a scheme that does fit him. So Kyer Elam has played very well. Again, we don't know about Salone Ravel or Trayvon Diggs exactly when they're going to be coming back. But you have to use your next guys. That's the bottom line of this league. Just like last year, you had to throw out Cooper Rush. Although I disagree with McCarthy throwing Cooper Rush in there week after week. They should have used Trey Lance. But again, that was the former coaching staff. So Nate Thomas has been getting a lot of left tackle one reps, and the coaching staff seems to be very pleased with the way he's played. That's your next man up, guys. Asim Richards is still competing, however. So we'll see what happens in the preseason to determine who will be the week one starter for the Cowboys, because Guyton is going to be basically back for week one, apparently. I don't see him going out there and playing in week one. He'll come back out, play week two, and we'll see what happens with Guyton. It's going to be an interesting preseason. You know, they open up against the Rams, and then they get out of California and come home. I really don't like having to go out to California every year. I understand the heat in Texas it's hot, but geez, I don't know. They used to practice every year in Texas still, and they managed to go to the Super Bowl quite often, minus this trip to California. But and it gives them the opportunity to play a team like the Rams or the Chargers. So it has its benefits. So in terms of Deuce Vaughn's hamstring injury, I'm sorry, Deuce Vaughn was a nice late round draft pick, but he's not going to be out there on special teams. So why do you even keep the guy around? If he can't help you on special teams, being as small a back as he is, then why is he even there? Again, that was a decision that, of course, his dad is a scout for the Cowboys, all that jazz. That's all fine and dandy. But again, Deuce Vaughn, I'm sorry, you need to go. Matt Waletzko is another guy who's been let go because, of course, they now signed Lael Collins, and Dak Prescott has his favorite fishing buddy back. That's all I see Lael Collins as being is because he's Dak's fishing buddy. The guy's 32 now. He hasn't played in a couple of seasons. I don't expect him to be more than just a training camp body at this point. But again, just like bringing Zeke Elliott back, that was a mistake. So I think bringing Lael Collins back in kind of falls into that same category, although he is Dak's best fishing buddy, apparently. And he was telling the team in the offseason that Lael's looking real good and all that other fun sort of stuff as well. That stuff drives me off the deep end. Yeah, you could be friends with somebody, but it doesn't mean that they should be out there on the field with you. It just simply doesn't. The other guys that have played very, very well for the Cowboys, Mingo and Turpin. Kavontae Turpin is going to get you a punt return touchdown. He's going to get you a kickoff return touchdown. I think more than one with the new rule this year for the kickoffs. And he can be used as a sneaky type of a running back on a trick play, and as well as a decent third option on your receiving runs to the red zone. So Kavontae Turpin, I've got him scoring at least 7 touchdowns this year. But Jonathan Mingo has played very, very nicely as well. Again, this is all just practice, however, right? The preseason games will matter. Jalen Tolbert today, like I said, he caught that 75-yard bomb from Joe Milton. So he's still there, Again, it's going to be a battle to get down to the final 53, like it is for every team. If Mozzie Smith does miss more time, that is really just going to me, it's time for the Cowboys to admit that they were wrong in taking Mozzie Smith. Let him go to some other team that would treat the guy better. Let him be whatever weight he wants to be. It just boggles my mind how you can have a guy come in to be a run-stopping defensive tackle, and then you want him to lose weight. Apparently, he's only around 300 pounds now, or 305, something like that. His listed weight is 337. You can't do that to these guys' bodies like this and then expect them to carry on for a full season. That's not how this works. You know, it's going to be a very different type of season for the Cowboys to begin with, because everybody, of course, comes out to play the Cowboys. They want to beat the Cowboys because, of course, they are the number one TV team and all this other fun sort of stuff that we always deal with. But these Cowboys are definitely doing what Brian Schottenheimer says, and that's always competing. That's what the fans of the Cowboys want to see these players doing. Always competing. That is what football is supposed to be about. So yeah, these guys get angry with each other at practice, and they get into fights and stuff, and Schottenheimer had to stop the practice and had everybody running. Again, that doesn't bother me that much, because in the old days, if you didn't take like I played safety up here, if you didn't take a receiver down and down hard in practice, you didn't feel like you'd done anything. And if the receiver got upset with you, you want some? Come get some. That's what football's about. You're not supposed to like each other. You don't need to love each other. But again, Coach Schottenheimer has definitely impressed me. Everybody else out there can laugh that the Cowboys hired this guy that nobody else wanted and all that other jazz. But every time I see Schottenheimer, he impresses me. He really does. He's not like his dad, folks. He's not the same as his dad was, okay? So stop that BS as well. And no, he's not going to be doing everything that he did with Pete Carroll as his head coach. He's his own man. He's going to determine the way that he wants the team to be playing. So let him do this without judgment. You don't judge a guy when he has never had the opportunity before. It's going to be an interesting season, you know. And yes, the Eagles, Howie Roseman had another great trade yesterday there, getting Bennett from the Raiders. Do I see the Cowboys pulling off any type of trades? No, because of course we've got the two guys who run this team who just don't make any phone calls. They want teams to call them. That way they feel that they've won the deal already, and all that BS. It is total BS, which comes out of those two gentlemen's traps. It's going to be an interesting season, and you know, week one against the Eagles will be an interesting game. Don't forget, Dak Prescott has a very good record against the Philadelphia Eagles, folks. And those were Super Bowl teams. You know, he's beaten them. The Eagles don't have, they've lost over 4,500 snaps on their defense. So it'll be interesting to see how that defense now holds up. Because you're going to have CeeDee Lamb, you're going to have George Pickens. You got to pick one or the other to double team. And let's see these two guys work with Dak Prescott throwing them the football. Because we already know that CeeDee's used to being double covered, and he's still having fine time. But now, you got Mr. Pickens. Going back to Jaden Blue, yes, he's getting enough reps now because Miles Sanders is hurt and Deuce Vaughn is also injured. But you better pay attention to Hunter Lipke. He's lined up at fullback. He's lined up at running back. He's lined up at tight end. If you don't think Hunter Lipke is going to be part of this team, I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. Hunter Lipke is going to be a member of this Cowboys team. The other guy that was selected along with Mozzie from that same school is not doing anything. Mr. Schoonmaker isn't doing anything. Brevin Spann-Ford has been out there. He's been out blocking guys and all that good sort of stuff. Again, it just boils down to a professional coach needs to coach who the scouting staff gives him to coach. That's always been the way I felt about this. Yes, you can have a style of player that you like, but then the scouts go out and find those players. That's what they do all year. That's why they go to those college games. That's why they talk with the trainers and their teachers and everything else that they do at the college level, is to find the right type of guy. That's the end of the story when it comes to all of that. A professional coach has too much on his plate already. He doesn't need to be involved in picking players. Did you guys like Kelvin Joseph and Nashawn Wright that Dan Quinn took? I didn't. How's Luke Schoonmaker and Mozzie Smith done that Mike McCarthy picked? Not very well. So again, it'll be interesting to see what happens on Saturday against the Rams. Apparently, according to our former co-host here, Brock Vieira, who's writing for the Rams SI account now, he watched the Rams offense against the Cowboys defense. So he says Jimmy Garoppolo is looking like $1 million. Devontae Adams has fit in very nicely. And of course, they just signed Kyron Williams for $33 million, $23 million guaranteed. Another great player from the University of Notre Dame. It's going to be an interesting preseason. Again, I don't really see much happening in terms of Micah Parsons. Because I'm sorry, guys, he's behind the 8 ball in this. He's got a 5th year as part of his first round draft pick status. He gets paid $24.2 million if he doesn't sign a new deal this year. If he plays 6 games and sits out those game checks, we'll see how much of his podcast money comes into play here and all that other outside money that the man's got if he decides to do that. But the Joneses also get 2 years of him under a franchise tag. So I don't know who's gonna win or lose in the battle. I'm just tired. I'm just tired of this being an annual thing. It's only designed to get the Cowboys name back out in the media all the time. Well, I want to hear the Cowboys being mentioned as Super Bowl champions. It's been 30 years, guys. And I have never once, except for the 2016 season, had a feeling that was a Cowboys team that could win a Super Bowl. And we all know what happened in 2016 in Green Bay. It's terrible. I feel horrible for every one of those young fans of the Dallas Cowboys who are under the age of 30 or 35. It's us older folks that remember the good days. Remember, I've seen all 8 Super Bowls for the Cowboys, and to not be there for 30 years, it's been a painful experience. So again, this Cowboys team should go 10-7, 11-6 this year, because Dak's back. George Pickens is now his secondary target. That's going to help. Make no mistake. That is going to help. We'll see what happens with Savon Ravel and Trayvon Diggs as well. But DeMario and Overshone has now been taking some linebacker snaps in just in his shorts, of course. It's going to be, you know, you have to wait these guys to come back and see what they're able to do. Again, though, the Cowboys season this year, I really think that they should finish 11-6. It's just because the offense is that good. Minus the big name running back, of course. Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams should be just fine as a 1-2 pairing. And then Jadon Blue gets tossed in there a little bit. But Jadon Blue is going to be a key on third down or second and long out of the backfield. He will get you yardage. That's his usage. He's not going to be a number one running back. All these people talking that he's now the RB1, that's not happening. No, it simply isn't. I would love to hear everybody's thoughts on the Cowboys for this year. You can, you know, send me off a note at Greg Cowboys on X and Blue Sky and all that fun sort of stuff as well. And we will see what happens Saturday night against the LA Rams. And I hope everybody has had a good time listening to me. You all take care.